Hello everyone, I am Vikita. Today's session we will going to learn about our metabolism unit 1 MYP5 respiratory system. In this session we will going to discuss about difference between respiration and breathing, mechanism of breathing and the structure of the alveolus, exchange of air in the lungs. So let's start. So our entire session is based on the respiratory system. So let's understand the term respiratory system. We know in our body various system makes function run, right? Such as excretory system. We already discussed about digestion, the circulatory system. Now it's time for the respiratory. So respiratory system, it's a system related to the respiration and breathing. So it's a system basically which is related about gas exchange, transport of the oxygen in the blood. It's respiratory system. So respiratory system is a group of organ and tissue that help us breathe. It's bring oxygen into our body and remove carbon dioxide, which is a waste gas made by cells. So respiratory system is the organ system responsible for the gas exchange, mainly intake of oxygen and removal of the carbon dioxide by the help of a system. That system called respiratory system. These system include several organs. We will learn about it. So starting from the organ, let's understand the figure first. Respiratory system is composed of primarily lungs, right? So think of it like a supply and cleaning system. It's give oxygen to every cell and clean out the carbon dioxide. So system composed of the lungs. Lungs are location. What are the location of the lungs? So lungs basically located in the like upper chamber called the pulmonary cavity. Pulmonary word is for lungs, right? So it's pulmonary cavity. Lungs located in pulmonary region or thoracic cavity. So basically lungs is composed and lungs is composed of tiny sac bag-like structure and these are called the alveoli. So these balloon-like structure is alveoli and the branching of these are called bronchiole. So starting from the nose, we have a nose and the chamber inside the nose called nasal cavity and this is upper respiratory tract like it's include nose, nasal chamber, right? Initial starting of trachea. So trachea, it's called windpipe. It's a windpipe. Simple. It's the upper part of the pulmonary system called upper respiratory system. In the lower respiratory tract, lungs. Lungs composed of these tiny tubes and the balloon-like structure called the alveoli. And this is called trachea. It's divided into two parts like right and left. And the branch is starting the trachea that is called bronchi. The further division of the bronchi makes bronchiole, and the terminal part of the like bronchiole is called alveoli. Yes, you see in the figure some special kind of a muscles which help in respiratory system that is called respiration, diaphragm. So diaphragm basically it's a muscle which help in breathing, inhale and exhale process. Inhale plus exhale. Let's recall each organ and its function. So, organ and function. Nose, starting from the nose. Nose is external opening which help in the inhale intake of oxygen. So it's filter, warms and moisten the air. Right? Why it's need to be filtered to prevent going of pathogen inside the body. So it's help in prevention. of pathogen. What is pathogen? Pathogen are simply the disease-causing organisms such as bacteria, virus, etc. Worm, it's help to maintain temperature. Like our body temperature is 37 degrees Celsius, right? But if they are very cold and outside, so let's assume the external temperature is 15 degrees Celsius and the internal is 37. There's a big difference of temperature. So body needs to maintain temperature. So it's warm the air, moisten the air. So it's helpful to go inside the lungs. Come on, the pharynx. Pharynx is common pathway for food and air. So it's a common pathway for both food and air. Larynx, larynx also called voice box. It helps in generate the voice, direct air into the trachea. Then trachea further elongated and it's converted into the thin pipe called windpipe carries air to lungs. Then trachea divided into two parts. That division of the trachea now it's called bronchi. Two branches that lead into each lung. First is right bronchi and then left bronchi. Lungs. Lungs is the main site of gas exchange. Lungs is composed of like network of bronchioles, bronchi, and alveoli. Alveoli is the terminal part of the lungs. So it's tiny sac in lungs where oxygen and carbon dioxide are exchanged. So this is again, it's frontal sinus. No need to remember. It's starting from the nose, then nasal cavity, then pharynx, then larynx, then trachea. Then trachea divided into two parts for left and right. And left or right, when it's divided, it's called bronchus. When bronchus is further divided, it's called bronchioles. Then bronchioles, the terminal ending of the bronchioles is called alveoli. Then it's a right lung, it's for left lung, and the special muscle help in the breathing. It's called diaphragm. This entire part makes the pulmonary system, or we can say respiratory system. Let's understand the path, how gas move. So path of respiratory system, first we inhale the gas, oxygen from nose, right? And also sometimes from mouth. Then air goes into the nasal chamber, then it's moved towards pharynx, then goes into the larynx, then it goes in trachea, the windpipe, it goes in bronchi, then bronchioles, and finally the gas exchange site called alveoli. Right, alveoli is just air sac. And alveoli is a main important gaseous exchange part. So it's helping gas exchange. So each part play a small role in making sure the air is clean, right? Pathogen free, moist, warm, and finally reach the lungs. So it's time for covering the respiration and breathing. So definition is physical process of inhaling and exhaling air. So breathing is just a physical of inhale and exhale the gas. But respiration, it's somehow it's a chemical process. Why it's chemical? Because it releases some glucose because it's include the breakdown of the bones. So chemical process of breaking down the glucose, break down the glucose to form, release the energy. So when glucose C6H12O6 combined with the oxygen, it leads to give ATP, high amount of energy, and a byproduct called carbon dioxide. Breathing is occur in the lungs and respiration is help it's occur in all cells, all tissue. Type of process, it's a mechanical process, just inhale and exhale. Let's do yourself. Inhale, filling the gas inside, and exhale, removing the carbon dioxide. Whereas the respiration, it's a biochemical process. It takes place inside the cells, it makes energy, it releases carbon dioxide, right? So coming on the energy produced in breathing, we don't produce energy, but in respiration, yes, ATP is produced. Where it is produced? In the cell. Which organelle produce these ATP? Yeah, mitochondria. Come on, the oxygen involvement. It's take in oxygen, whereas it's use oxygen in aerobic respiration. So it's aerobic. What is aerobic respiration? Aerobic respiration is a type of respiration in which it's happening in the presence of oxygen. So the kind of respiration, the kind of chemical process which take place in the presence of oxygen that called aerobic, whereas kind of chemical reaction which is take place without or absence of oxygen called anaerobic. Anaerobic, it is performed by some bacteria and the microorganism. Let's visualize how breathing is done. So breathing in, we in which kind of gas? Oxygen. Inhale through nose, then nasal chamber, then trachea, then finally reach into bronchi, bronchioles, then alveoli, the tiny bag. In the case of breathing in or inhalation or inspiration. So in inspiration, what has happened? Diaphragm is contract. Lung volume is increased because we're filling out the gas. Lung volume is increased. Whereas in breathing out, it's also called exhalation, removing of carbon dioxide, remove. It's also termed as exhalation. What is happening? The diaphragm is relaxed and the volume of the lungs is going to be decreased. Why? Because we exhale air. Right. So breathing is a process of taking air in and out of the lungs. It includes inhalation, taking in oxygen, as well exhalation, removing carbon dioxide. So look how it's happening. So air is inhaled, rib cages expand. Whereas air is exhaled, it's a exhalation. Air lungs again decrease their volume. In this volume is increased, diaphragm relaxes. Now figure out what is respiration and how it's look like. Basically, respiration we just studied, it's a cellular process. Cellular process, it's take place inside the cell, right? So respiration is the process where glucose from the food, where glucose comes, it comes from the food. We already discussed in the digestion combined with oxygen to make energy ATP. So the main target of respiration to produce ATP by the use of the glucose plus oxygen. So glucose plus oxygen gives us what? ATP. So it's a cell, right? This is a food. We digest the food, we get glucose. Inside the cell, organelle called mitochondria, which is a powerhouse of the cell, of the cell. In this mitochondria, several steps take place, such as glucose first converted into pyruvate. It's a kind of a organic compound, and this step called glycolysis. Pyruvate converted for the molecule NADH, then system runs. It's again run the Krebs cycle, then electron transport system, then finally produce ATP. And the byproduct is water and carbon dioxide. So glycolysis happens in the cytoplasm. It's a important cytoplasm, right? Outside the mitochondria, whereas these Krebs cycle, it's important. These Krebs cycle take place in mitochondria matrix. Mitochondria matrix. So the what is the word equation for it? So the word equation for it, glucose C6H12O6 combined with oxygen, give us carbon dioxide, give us water, and huge amount of energy in the terms of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is a aerobic respiration, aerobic. Why it's aerobic? Because it's use, consume the oxygen. Now, let's understand the two terms related to the contraction and relaxation. It's basically related to the like how gas exchange. What is the meaning of contraction first? Basically, contraction it means tighten or shorten. The muscle become active and moves. Diaphragm, the kind of muscles, right, which is below the lungs, it moves down, flatten. So when we inhale, it's assumed it's a diaphragm. When we inhale the gas, these diaphragm it's move downwards, and we can say it's flattens. The intercostal muscles contract. What is intercostal muscles? This is a rib cage. This is rib 1. This is rib 2. The muscle between the rib 1 and rib 2, that is called intercostal muscles. Intercostal muscles. These muscles are flexible muscles, basically help in like contraction and relaxation of entire chamber. So result, chest expand, air enter the lungs, inhalation. In the case of relaxation means loosen, return to normal shape and size. In this case, what has happened? Now the muscle become inactive and return to original shape. Now during the exhalation, muscle going to upward. Right? It comes in original shape. Diaphragm relax, moves up, dome shape like this. From this, it's like this, dome shape. Intercostal muscles are relaxing. Ribs move down and in. Chest volume reduce, it means decrease. Why decrease? Because we exhale carbon dioxide and air is pushes out. That's termed as exhalation. So this is a mechanism of breathing. First, understand the inhalation. Diaphragm contract. We already discussed the contract and the relaxation. So diaphragm relax. And so in this one, for the inhalation, diaphragm contract, right? It's coming in downwards, it flattens. So lungs increase their volume. So rib moves up and out. Thoracic cavity volume increases. Why? Then the pressure is decreased because we know like if area increasing, the pressure decreasing. This is a law of physics, and air is drawn in. Whereas the mechanism of breathing, exhalation, diaphragm relax, chest contract, volume decreases, pressure increases, air exhale. So diaphragm relax, move up, rib move down, in. Thoracic cavity volume decreases, pressure increase, again the same concept here. If pressure is increasing, it means the area is going to be decreasing, area and volume. This is a figure for inhalation and exhalation. It's a part of a continuous cycle. So it's simple. Come on the structure of alveoli. Alveoli are tiny balloon basically. These are the tiny balloon. These balloons are elastic in nature. A balloon, light, air, sac, thin. It have thin wall. Right? Why it's thin? Because it perform the gas exchange, elastic nature to expand and relax. So thin wall, it means one cell thin, surrounded by the capillary large surface area, which leading to help in gas exchange. Yes, it's moist lining to dissolve gas. So if we'll figure out the labeling, this is a terminal of the bronchiole pulmonary artery, the basically the artery which is linked with the lungs, linked with the pulmonary, that is called pulmonary artery. Similar for the vein, pulmonary vein. Okay, we already discussed in the respiratory section, in the circulatory section. Pulmonary vein, the vein which carries the oxygenated blood. And the pulmonary artery, which carries the deoxygenated blood, yes, the red color coding for the oxygenated and the blue color coding for the deoxygenated. Alveolar duct and capillaries, these are the capillary do gas exchange, and alveoli. And this is like this bronchiole and alveolus, one cell thick. It means it is very fine wall to help in gas exchange. So tiny sacs are bronchiole and single layer squamous epithelium. It's a kind of a layer basically layer. We will learn in higher classes what is squamous epithelium, then surrounded by the blood capillaries. Why surrounded the blood capillary? Because RBC is moving in the blood capillary, then RBC collect the oxygen, then hemoglobin bind with oxygen, and RBC are the carrier of the oxygen gas. We know already. And adapted for gas exchange, large surface area, moisture rich blood supply. This is look like this. So if so, we look the figure of alveoli, the arrangement of capillary on the alveoli sac and the labeling. This is a cutting section of alveoli. Gas exchange in the lungs. So basically, oxygen from air in alveoli diffuse into the blood. We know oxygen from the air we inhale, then it goes into the alveoli and it diffuses. So which process takes place here? Diffusion. Basically, diffusion is a movement of the gas molecules from high towards low. So let's assume it's alveoli and it's a capillary. If we inhale oxygen, then oxygen concentration in the alveoli is high, and the inside the capillary RBCs, this one oxygen concentration is very low, very low. So automatically these oxygen moving from high towards a low region, then these oxygen bind with RBC. RBC bind with the oxygen, then it's travel and transported oxygen to the cell of the body. So these process called basically diffusion, right? Carbon dioxide from the blood. Same thing happen for the carbon dioxide. So for the carbon dioxide, assume it's alveoli, it's a blood capillary, pulmonary artery comes and it's further break into capillary. This blood comes from the like comes with the carbon dioxide. Inside, there is no carbon dioxide, less carbon dioxide concentration. So carbon dioxide goes from high towards low region. This is again called diffusion. Right, so this is for the exchange of carbon dioxide. This happens by diffusion, movement of gas from high to low concentration. So oxygen diffused from alveoli to blood, whereas carbon dioxide diffused from blood to alveoli, maintained by continuous blood flow and ventilation. What is the meaning of ventilation? When there's a gas exchange between two system and surrounding, that is called ventilation. Look how things is going. It's a blood flow, which carbon goes from these capillary from low region. This is called diffusion. Similarly, when we inhale, oxygen goes from the alveoli cavity into the RBC. This is called the uptake of the oxygen by the blood supply. So this is an entire figure. Look, these alveoli sac is one cell thick only, one cell thick. Similarly, the blood vessel is again one cell thick. Blood vessels for capillary, right? One cell thick. So easy to exchange through these thin layers. Let's summarize each of like breathing, mechanical layer movement, it's a physical, whereas respiration, it's cellular link with cells. All cells performs respiration to getting energy, yes. And these energies further helping like survival, growth, repairing. Inhalation is the thoracic cavity expand and exhalation is when thoracic cavity contract. Thoracic cavity basically the upper cavity of the body called thoracic cavity, which like where the organ like heart and lungs take place. Alveoli is a site of main gas exchange site called alveoli, and alveoli make lungs. So basically, structural and functional unit of the lungs called alveoli, basic unit of lungs. Key terms for the session is ventilation, movement of air in and out of lungs, gas exchange. A gas exchange happens by the help of diffusion. Cellular respiration is related toward generation of ATP, adenosine triphosphate. Okay, so this is an end for today class. Meet you in the next session with amazing topic. Take care. See you.